Welcome everyone. This is my crafting suggestion video, part 1. I thought this would be a good time to suggest anything since the expansion just happened and there's a full year for the next expansion. I've always liked crafting, but I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. This video alone will be based on jewelry, armor, and weapons. Uh, Anything with multiple attributes or stats. And part 2 will be on farming, scholar, cook, and forester, and resource node collection as well. I just wanted to start off by saying I don't know how hard this system would be to implement. I'm not a software designer, so it's just an idea, and hopefully you can maybe give better ideas or take some parts out and put some parts in. Leave comments in the video or on the forums as well. This idea that I put together is crafting with randomization. That would remove everybody having the same piece of gear all the time. Also, this system would also remove any rare items or resources, such as sigils or crests. Anything that would cause a bit of negativity when you would not get what you want, basically from a crit item. But anyway, we'll just start out here and work through the process. So the original recipe would gain basically 50 points to randomize into this ring that I have posted here. 65 points for a crit item, and a super crit item would have 75 points for the bonus item. I just made up something just to kind of give an idea. This is basically all of your stats on all of your equipment. Basically, 1 point would give, say, 3 finesse, 3 power, 1 vitality. This is basically a non-crit item with randomization after you would craft it. So as you can see, this ring is 24 points into parry rating. So the randomization played favor to this stat, and a little bit weak on the might and vitality. I'm going to give 2 more examples. Let's see here. There it is. This is a crit, a randomized crit item. So as you can see, might and max power were played favorable in this randomized item for a total of 65 points. So the new stats would be 89 might, 70 vit, maximum power 271, and your parry rating only climbed a little bit. So randomization could be anywhere, but it would never be the same. And that would be nice just to get out of the normal items. And here's another example. Vitality was played a little bit better than everything else. Now you might say, well, you know, I'm never getting what I want, but remember the ingots or your resources for anything will be low tier. The fun part about this system I haven't mentioned yet, and that's the modifiers. I figured there's a lot of polished stones throughout the game so far. There's actually 12, 13 if you don't include the moonstone, but I don't think you can acquire it anymore. It used to be from Misty Mountains. So there's 12, and I'm going to have them display here right away. But just for an example, there'd be 5 slots. So there'd be 5 slots you could add 5 different polished stones, and each polished stone would carry to an attribute. So each one would give 5% modifier chance. So here's the stones. I'm just going to cycle through them, and then I'll put up a chart just giving an example of them referring to a stat. So basically you'd have 25% chance if you wanted it all to be in one stat to gain that modifier. So say if you wanted to really build this ring for vitality, you would put 5 of the same stones towards vitality. Or say if you wanted 60% vitality and say 40% of your chance modifier to go towards maximum power, you could do that by putting 3 of one stone and 2 of the other. That'd still only give you 15% chance for one and 10% chance for the other, but it would hopefully help in your favor. I'm not going to mention the super crit item yet because it negates all of this system. I'm going to bring up in a few examples here right away once it finishes going through all the polished stones. It's kind of a little mini game, and I'm going to go over some of the key factors of the system near the end. But I don't know, I just thought it'd be nice to use the polished stones because there's so many, and it almost matches the amount of stats. There's the chart that I put up. That's just an example, so I could basically use it. And I'm going to have some examples come up here right away. But as far as the polished stones, I don't think you can acquire them through the skirmish camp, but that'd be a good idea for a very cheap rate since you would go through so many. Also, your entry-level players could also post them on the auction hall, be one of the more valuable items for an entry-level player, which would help them out as well. And another idea that I thought of would be to randomize stones in the next expansion nodes. So here is an example. If I wanted to play towards vitality, that'd be 3 rubies in 3 slots, 2 green garnets in the other. Say I wanted to go for all might, because I believe I picked might for agates. I'd put all 5 for might. That'd give me a 25% chance increase for might on randomization of this ring. So, you know, like, that's just an example, but say you wanted to, say it could be 40% or 50% chance, just to increase your chance. I'm just going to put the chart up that I made up there just to kind of look at it. But I thought, you know, a lot of this stuff isn't used in the game anymore, and it'd be nice to use it again, considering it's all there. The major end game content of this system is mostly in the super crit, because most of the time the expansion will come out and everybody will run through their levels, and then they'll bring out some instances, they'll play those for a while, and then it just seems like there's a bit of stagnation till the end of the year. This would help with that. And the super crit would be, of course, very rare, but you know, you're not using expensive resources to get to that point. So the bonus for the super crit would be a weak bonus, considering that these would be stackable. And that would be the nice part about this. And I wouldn't even fear of this entering PvP because Audacity kind of gets rid of this. You can't put it on your armor. You can't put it, well, I guess you could put it on your jewelry, but that's why they would have to be very weak. These are just examples, but very weak. But if you're to stack them, they might increase to a moderate power. Again, these are just examples. You'd have to add them all up to see what would be too much to handle. So this is a super crit item. So 75 points. The beauty of a super crit item would be that you could allot your points by yourself. It's not random anymore. That gives you the total power to make your item the way you want it to be. And of course, pick one bonus. So this ring obviously is a power. You're short on power, so hey, I'm going to put all my points in power and get some in combat power regen. I got another example coming up here. Again, maybe this is for a tank. Vitality and parry rating and reflect damage, but this is a more powerful reflect damage than they used to play in game because morale pools are so high now. You're 10,000 morale on a mob. This would be good for a tank to have a multiple amount of these reflect super crit items, because leveling a guard or trying to kill things with a guard it's time consuming. This might help ease that situation. I'm just going to put down the key factors of this system now. I made a little list here. There it is. Let's see. Number 1, nobody would be wearing the exact item anymore. I found that it was pretty boring, considering everybody would just pick a couple rings that they found were decent enough to get you by until some instance ones came along. Well, that might be the case with crit or original item, but a super crit item would basically be on par with any instance item except for probably top tier raid, just because raid is raid. No rare resources to reduce the feeling of loss, so you're not really losing anything when you craft. The mini game with the polished stones adds a little mix of the fun. The oh wow feeling, the thing that would keep you crafting would be the super crit items. The gear would be eccentric from raid and instance gear due to the super crit bonus. These bonuses usually aren't attributed in game anymore, but could be used here. Acquiring stones from the auction hall would help the lower level players, helping them purchase gear because they could sell these stones. Again, stones could be purchased through skirmish marks at a cheap price, since you would be using a lot of them. The bonus on the super crit items would be stackable or would be required to be weak bonuses, but I think that'd be fun. You could really, you won't get a lot of super crit items fast, but it'd be fun to play around with that. Super crit items would be very rare, but since only ingots would be used again, the loss is marginal. All the items would be bind unequipped. The super crit items would be left unchosen until equipped until the new owner, which would be auction hall or given, the choice points and the bonus item. The randomization of stones from all nodes I think would be really cool. You're not just used to getting the same stuff all the time, so if you were to, hit a prospecting node, you might say get a bloodstone and an aquamarine, and then your regular resources with that. Scholars, same thing. Get a different few stones in there, and then same with forester, just to keep it fair. And I thought that would be kind of neat. And the skirmish camp, I really don't have much of a use for that anymore, but this would be one way that I probably would spend a lot of stones. I'm not really one for the store as well, but it is true that the store does bring in a lot of income to expand on the game, and I would imagine that that would also increase the use of, I guess you call them, the resources that I've never used one, so I don't know what they're called actually. But basically, people purchase these. The only thing is you couldn't give your super crit item or sell it. But I think that it would be used. But anyway, let me know what you think, and maybe expand on this. I thought it'd be cool to just look at this since there's a full year. I thought it'd be fun.